Do you want to know a secret? Do you promise not to tell? Yeah, that's an old song that was released from the Beatles in 1963. Let me tell you what the secret is, though. The secret was not, I am in love with you. Sorry, that wasn't the secret. The secret is that there is a different system that is actually running out here that most people don't know about. They only show the peasants one way of doing things. We grow up in life. This is something I've said many times. That bothered me when I was very young. People ask me when the light bulb moment came on. There was no light bulb moment. I knew when I was very young, looking around and seeing people going to work, living this structured life, living this cookie cutter life, that something really wasn't right. Was this the way things were meant to be? Absolutely not. People are brought up thinking this is how you get the driver's license. This is how you open a bank account. You're supposed to go register to vote. Yeah, you're supposed to do all these different things. And let me say, one of the things that frustrates me, probably more than anything, is when I listen to different gurus or people thinking crazy stuff out there saying, oh, well, I shouldn't have to fill out any paperwork. I shouldn't have to freaking send in any papers because all their stuff was fraud. Well, I'm sorry. You spent your whole life filling out papers and filling out paperwork and contracting yourself into this fraudulent mess. So how is it that you think that you no longer need to freaking send in any paperwork? You're an idiot. I'm sorry. Or I should not say idiot, but ignorant. You're unlearned. All right. You've spent your whole life contracting your way in. And so the only thing to do is to contract your way out. The secrets that you haven't been told is that all of these little things you signed were contracts. Anytime a signature is required of you, listen to this. If there's one thing you need to teach your offspring, it's this. Anytime an autograph, a signature, whatever you want to call it, is required of you, it's because there's a contract running behind the scenes. I've got a compilation of info I've put together here. It's called Invisible Contracts by George Mercier. All right. Also included in this book, I have an affidavit from a state police officer talking about the driver's license. And I've got the driver's license compact, that contract that you agreed to when you signed for a driver's license. I only mention those things specifically because that seems to be a very popular topic that people always go to. And it's probably because it's one of the only real contracts they realize that they've come into and agreed to. I mean, you agree to contracts when you get an electric company to wire your house, or when you rent a home, or when you purchase a home, or when you sit at the closing table. We're constantly signing ourselves into contracts and signing away rights. Rights are not just tangible access to property, but it's also the intangible use of property. And people need to really realize what rights are. I recommend, when I first started researching things, I looked at a lot of the gurus out there, and a lot of things didn't quite seem right, and I wasn't sure why. So I decided to start researching what the law was really about, how things are really structured. I wanted to learn about what contract law was, what the law of agency and principle, what that was really all about. And I'll tell you, really, those two things alone will give you the majority of the info you need to freaking realize, the things you need to know. Because when it comes right down to it, what's it all about? Liability. It's all about liability. That's what they're all afraid of. And I've shown examples of how I have used that in different institutions to hold people accountable for what they're supposed to do. And it's worked. Why? Because they're afraid of liability. People need to pay attention to their contracts. If you want to amend anything, if you want to make any changes, yeah, I agree. A lot of people call it status correction. I actually say you have the correct status, but they're operating under what we have heard of called as presumption of law. They can only presume because you've never told them. You've never taken a stand as to who and what you are and what you're doing in this world. Once you do that, a lot of things change. Believe me, it works. And so it's really more correcting the presumption than correcting status. And after you get done correcting that, after you get done fixing that presumption, you have to start taking care of your contracts. You don't necessarily have to have an electric bill coming to your home, which gives you a whole new problem of trying to figure out how to fix. It's not about going and creating these crazy checks or money orders. No, that's not at all what it's about. You shouldn't be in that position in the first place. That's the whole thing. This is about living in the private. And if you want to figure out how to live in the private, these are the things that I'm starting to disclose and talk about on our Tactical Sovereignty podcast and with our group here on Facebook. All right. But I'm sorry, it's not the sexy, fun stuff. It's not the sexy, fun stuff of being a secured party creditor and filling out numerous freaking documents that don't mean crap to anybody. It's all what I call unactionable information. I prefer to use actionable information. A lot of people talk about a lot of different things. You can go to court and you can scream about that gold fringe flag that's flying up there. A judge doesn't give a crap. That's not actionable information. Okay. Actionable information is correcting who and what you are and what you're doing here in this country. And when you do that, that is where you are actually seen as standing in honor. That is actually what is observed as being something real, not any of this other phony state national crap or any of that stuff. That's all hogwash. I'm sorry. Been down all those roads, researched all that stuff, and quickly learned that I really need to figure out how the system really worked. And once I figured out how the system really worked, I realized that, oh God, there's only a couple things you got to do. And it's not all this fun, sexy stuff of standing on one leg, throwing salt over your right shoulder, signing in red or purple. Oh, you got to make sure and have your seal. No, it's much more simple than that. But obviously, simplicity and the real solution, the real secret is going to be divulged to people. Because that's not what people want to hear. They want to hear the fun, sexy things that you can do. And they feel like, oh my God, I'm really doing something. No, it doesn't work that way. It's on how you create your contracts. It's on how you set up the bank account. It's all about your relationship to the name, which is seen by them really as an organization. So it's your relationship to that organization. Have you claimed it? Are you in control of it? Have you resigned from it? Have you negotiated your position with it? Those are the things it really comes down to. I want to keep this short. This is stuff people need to think about. This is a secret they're not going to tell you about. They're not going to tell you about how you become your own banker. You don't even need a bank. People don't realize that. You don't need a bank if you have things set up correctly. You don't have to worry about your credit score if you can take care of those relationships correctly. I've shown all this to everybody, but I'm sorry. It's not fun and sexy. So people aren't going to like it probably. You know what? When it comes down to it, we have to freaking take a stand as to who and what we are in this world. Because if you don't decide for yourself, guess what? Somebody else is going to decide for you. And you're not going to like the choice they make. Want to say hi, Kitty? Good night, guys.